Salve a tutti ragazzi, qui RETE e oggi volevo portare una serie di 3 video dove mi è stato suggerito da un ragazzo su Discord chiamato Mago Poliziotto che mi ha commentato sotto un video di YouTube dove chiedeva aiuto ad avvicinarmi a Edison. Gli ho detto mi piacerebbe tanto imparare prima la nera come mazzo. Lui mi ha detto guarda, alla nera e vai sono i due mazzi che hanno più coaching gratuito su YouTube. Gli ho detto guarda, fra i due preferisco la nera e mi ha passato una serie di 3 video in inglese dove man mano li traduco e vi faccio capire come mi avvicino io a un formato quando ho qualcuno che mi insegna, cioè cosa segno, cosa non annoto e come faccio a fare dei test e come faccio a analizzare se quello che ho fatto bene o no nei limiti del è vero, qualcuno mi sta aiutando in questo caso dei video, ma non posso avere il 100% del tempo qualcuno che mi dica fai così, fai così. Quindi ci sarà sempre una parte dove da solo ci devo arrivare un po' a delle cose. Detto questo, cominciamo.
Welcome back to the channel. I am joined today by fellow teammate and top player Pro Storm. Pro Storm, say what's up.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I brought
Questo è un video dove appunto quello che dà i suggerimenti, non so chi sia, non conosco i giocatori di Edison, ma se questa persona mi ha suggerito il video, comunque sia un minimo di valore ce l'ha. La lista non so se è corretta o meno, ma io l'ho copiata su DB, l'ho dovuta copiare un attimo a mano perché non l'ho trovata su formato Ebri. E quindi quello che spiega è la voce fuori campo.
you on because you are a player who really understands not only Edison format in the game, but you also understand Blackwings at a high level. And I figure I've been doing these kind of videos. I did the one with 10 Foot where we talked about Dupla's Hero Frogs. I did the one with Marcus Hayden where we talked about spiritual water art. And I was thinking about the perfect person to bring on for a Blackwing discussion, and you came to mind immediately. There's a couple other people who I also think could fulfill the role of talking about Blackwings, but I think you being a person who's very analytical, I think will lend itself well to this discussion. So basically, I just recently was live streaming a
Qua gli lecca un po' il culo dicendo tu capisci tutto, sei un giocatore molto analitico, bla bla bla, quindi c'è tutta una parte di...
$5,000 money match on the channel that was 10 hours long, and it was a Blackwing mirror unknowingly to both players. So for context, two players in the online world played against each other for $5,000. It was a best of 21 sets.
Qua spiega che appunto c'è stato nel suo canale un match di 21 partite dove chi vinceva si beccava $5.000 e la finale appunto è stata fra
And
due
they did not
Blackwing.
know going into it what the other person was bringing as far as decks go. There was like maybe some scouting and stuff like that, like, oh, but and then they're bringing Blackwing.
Qua salto un
Now, the
po'
deck
per...
list you see in front of you on the screen is actually Ricky's deck, and he ended up losing the best of 21 sets. But this is his deck list, and I reached out to the other guy, Shifter. He hasn't responded yet. This is just a video that I decided to do, on a whim, so I didn't really have much time to like prep for it. Otherwise, I would have asked for his deck list maybe days ago or like right around after he won the 5K. So at some point, maybe if I get his deck list before this video becomes public, I will kind of insert it so that we can compare it. But things that we do know. So this is Ricky's, but in Shifter's deck, here in his deck, both
Andiamo avanti.
I guess there's two parts to the question, right? There's one just
First thing I want to say to you or ask you is, how do you feel about Gores and Torrential in Blackwing decks?
La prima domanda che appunto lui gli fa, come ti senti a giocare Gorse e Torrenziali in Blackwing? Difatti quando io porterò la mia serie i miei primi 30 giorni giocando Harrison, il primo giorno io appunto giocherò una lista con Gorse, che non è questa, e io appunto rimango allibito, cioè dico come cazzo fai a giocare a Gorse in una lista dove la tua carta chiave è un permanente, passatemi il termine di Magic, perché una magia continua. E appunto è interessante che la prima domanda che viene fatta è appunto un dubbio che io stesso avevo, non conoscendo il formato.
well, I guess
Anche torrenziali viene chiesto.
there's two parts to the question, right? There's one just generically, is it good to have those cards against
Yep.
the wide open meta? And secondly, are they good specifically in the mirror? So I guess in a wide open meta, they're obviously very powerful cards.
Yep.
TT especially, as a frog player, it's the worst trap
It is
you can
annoying.
expect to see.
Lui dice che gioca torrenziale perché è probabilmente la peggior trappola che i giocatori di Frog vogliono trovarsi contro.
And especially with online tournaments, when people looking at replays, just showing people that you have torrential main just makes them respect it. Otherwise, everyone
Lui spiega nei tornei online, specialmente la gente tende a... Aspetta.
people that you have torrential main just makes sense when people looking at replays, just showing people that you have torrential main just makes them respect it. Otherwise, everyone goes through
Nei
replays,
tornei
and once they
online
know
la
you're not
gente
on
tende a
torrential,
tenere
everyone just starts
torrenziale.
slamming. So I think those are a lot of reasons why you would play torrential.
Yep.
And Gores is a bit of a weird one. I know you like saying Core saves lives and stopping OTKs, but it's definitely very awkward. It can conflict with Oppression, Solemn, Whirlwind, and
Yeah.
especially in the mirror, Gores can be kind of iffy. And I don't know from the stats from the best of 21 how often Gores actually mattered, but Blackwings have so many tools to just clear Gores and kill through Gores. So it's probably a bit weaker in the mirror if you're expecting a lot of mirrors. But right now, Value's the main deck that everyone's piloting at all these events.
Yep.
So it's probably a good call to have Gorz because it's such a power card against Value.
Yeah, it's
So for
really
that reason, I
big.
think it's
E lui spiega che Gorz è una carta molto ottimale contro Vaio perché c'ha pochi modi di toglierlo.
probably fine to keep in the main, and you side it out in the matchups it's not that good against.
So would you side Gores out against Blackwings?
It depends going first or second, but I probably would just because I've been in a lot of situations where you take a first hit like a Boar or Shura and you're at 63 or 62, and all of a sudden now your future cores is potentially dead because of there's a lot of kill shots that go through 6k,
Yeah.
like Brio Armed Wing Kalut or Brio Armed Wing Bora, and if they have an Icarus, they can kill through cores, or they do Sirocco Brain Special Bora Pump. There's a lot of those scenarios where cores is just completely invalidated. Even like smart players still tend to go Blizzard Special Bora or Shura and just poke with the Blizzard. And if it's awkward because if you hold the Gores, now you're risking the Gores being dead next turn to Sirocco Pump.
Right.
But if you drop the Gores, they can just consolidate and make Goyo in main 2. And Goyo just clears Gores. So it's definitely super awkward. But it's one of the few cards that can equalize on tempo when you're going second.
Right.
But you have to open it, right? If you take a hit or two.
Lui spiega che partendo primo in realtà Gorz tende a non piacergli perché fa un elenco di situazioni dove Gorz muore, per esempio Scirocco che porta Goyo, Shura eccetera, che Bora che con Kalut, però lui dice che partendo secondo comunque sia per un discorso di tempo, dice riesce a eguagliare il tempo, quindi lo fa anche per un discorso di tempo, continua a non esserne convinto, ma io non capisco una sega, quindi.
That course is just super awkward, and it kind of conflicts with Sirocco too, right? Because usually you're holding Siroccos in hand, and you want your opponent to commit the first Blackwing summon, then you drop your Sirocco to come over the top.
Right.
And so having Sirocco and Gores in hand, it's a bit awkward. It's like, do you drop your Gores on a Shura attack? Then you have to hold Sirocco, and then you're taking another hit, and you end up taking too much damage. So those are some instances where Gores just isn't that good, but it's kind of hard to unpack.
So a lot of things.
Dice che Gorz può essere anche figo partendo secondo perché ti permette di holdare il tuo Scirocco in situazioni migliori, ecco.
To talk about there, Gores, definitely I agree with you that Value is definitely like one of the most popular decks, if not the actual most popular deck in Edison at this point, and a very, very, very successful deck too, so I understand why people play it. They didn't know going into this what the other person was playing, so playing cards like Gores, Torrential, and Mirror Force, like you said, they're just kind of hedging against, I don't know what the guy's bringing, but these cards are just generically good cards. If they knew it was a mirror match, there's a chance that we wouldn't see Gores at all in either player's deck. So I guess we can cut them some slack in terms of like them, any main deck decisions that they made that are kind of like, you might be like, oh, this is kind of sus. You could just say, well, you don't know what you're playing and you're playing somebody 21 times with the same deck. They were not allowed to change their deck, by the way. So like that makes Torrential, I understand why you have to main Torrential in that case, right? Because if I'm about to play you for 21 sets, I cannot have you find out that I do not main Torrential.
Yeah, exactly.
That information, because you're playing the same person possibly 21 times 3 times, like a max of what, 63 times? Yeah, you're playing them a max of 63 games. Now, I will say they ended on set 19. It officially ended on set 19. That's when Shifter got to 11 wins. So it's a best of 21. So whoever gets to 11 wins first. They went to set 19 and they played 50 games. Now, give or take, I was scorekeeping, but I was also doing commentary. I was also doing administrative stuff and streaming and all that stuff. Give or take, like maybe I missed like one game or something on the ticker or whatever, but I think they played exactly 50 games out of a possible 63. You cannot afford for your opponent to know or realize, hey, I've played this guy in how many game ones now, and I've never seen him torrential. I'm just going to say that he doesn't have it. Or, God forbid, you don't even side it, which is even crazier, because then if it's not on your deck list at all, at some point they're going to wisen up and be like, yo, I've never gotten torrential. They just don't play it. And they start playing crazy. So you kind of have to play it in this specific environment. The other thing is like Gores, I agree with you. It is a card that in the mirror specifically, it's not that great. Definitely something to consider siding out. If you're going first, I definitely could see siding out because you'd rather have a real trap in the mirror, I think, going first.
Exactly. Because the other problem with Gores is if you drop him, it means
Qua gli fa una domanda molto specifica perché appunto questa lista è stata usata in un mirror match di 21 match. Lui dice potenzialmente potete fare 63 partite, ne avete fatto 50 e quindi è probabile che tu hai voluto giocare torrenziale perché ti sentivi più confident a fare tante partite di fila con torrenziale rispetto a non avercelo, e qua gli chiede se ti sei sentito bene o non ti sei sentito bene, eccetera. La domanda in realtà è molto articolata. Io odio, anche quando faccio interviste io, cerco di evitarlo quando l'intervistatore fa domande tanto specifiche e sviluppate, quindi diciamo avrebbe potuto riassumere tanto a livello concettuale la sua domanda, arrivando comunque sia dritto al punto, cioè non c'era bisogno di fare tutta la parte del discorso su vabbè va 21x3 fa 63, avete giocato 50 bla bla bla, e assumere dei concetti. Però vediamo la risposta del pro player, tra
you've
virgolette.
already taken a big hit, right?
Yep.
And your life points are such an important resource in the mirror. I'm sure we can discuss more later, but
Yeah.
I think staying healthy is really important because a lot of optimal plays also involve taking hits.
Lui spiega che nel mirror gli LP sono importanti.
So now all of a sudden, if you're taking too many hits, not only is your core going to be like a dead top deck, but it's also just conflicting from a game plan point of view. You know, playing Gores, playing Solemn, potentially playing Tools, or other LP cost cards like My Body. I don't think any of them had My Body,
Yeah, they didn't
but
have
that's
that.
another card that you
Lui spiega che nel mirror si vanno a giocare Seven Tools, Solenne, a volte anche My Body, anche se lui My Body non la
used to be
gioca.
sided.
No, you're absolutely right. Taking hits definitely can be the optimal play at certain times. So if you took too much damage earlier on, you're then forced to play in these suboptimal ways because you just don't have the life points. For example, this is something I brought up to you in our group, like in our chat before we even did this video. I was saying that in almost every game, they played 50 games. In almost every single game, Ricky was down in life every single time. It for whatever reason, I don't know why, but and I assume that they play the same amount of defensive traps, honestly. But for whatever reason, almost every game, Shifter was just so aggro and would deal like a Shora and a Bora, or he would get the first like Sirocco big pump attack, and then next thing you know, Ricky's at like 3,000 or 2,000 life points, and I would look at Shifter's life, and Shifter would be at 8,000 to Ricky's like 2,000, and it's really hard to come back in the mirror. I would say from like if you're at 2,000 in a mirror match and your opponent's literally at 8k, you have to deal so much damage, and you have to play kind of where you need a trap for every interaction, because at this point Black Wings can kill you from 2,000 like really simple. I was trying to understand why, and I really wish I had Shifter's deck list. I was trying to understand why Shifter was able to, one, put on so much more damage than Ricky, and Ricky was always basically playing from behind, which I think contributed to a lot of his losses, was that he was playing from behind in life points, not necessarily card advantage. There would be multiple games where Ricky would have more cards than his opponent, but I think we all know at this point in the Blackwing matchup, and this is for every deck against Black Wings, your card advantage matters very little. Your life points matter a lot more.
Yeah,
Allora, qua praticamente lui fa il classico intervistatore, fa la domanda da 10 minuti facendo gli esempi, dicendo io vedendo tante partite mi sono sentito che una volta che sei tanto sotto DLP sembra quasi che il vantaggio carta non è importante. Quindi adesso faccio un taglio e poi vediamo cosa risponde il pro player.
So like even when I'm playing Frogs, I'm completely aware that yes, when I lose the Blackwings, a lot of the times I'm holding more cards than Blackwings total. Like I'll have like 6 to their 4, which is great. I'm up 2 cards, but then like I'm at 1,300, and if he does literally anything to me, I die. I die to a Collude, I die to a Brain Control, I die to a Dark Arm, I die to a Sirocco Pump, I die to a Blizzard Summon. It's like, yeah, I have more cards than you, but at the end of the day, my life points are low. So I really do think that the early rushdown game contributed to why Shifter was more successful, especially in the first 5 sets where...
Lui qua continua a fare tutto il concetto. Cioè praticamente questo qua, l'intervistatore, sta parlando da solo e il pro player cerca un po' di dirgli sì, quello che dice ha più o meno senso e correggerlo. Diciamo che quando tu fai questo tipo di interviste, fare tante domande specifiche, lui dice molto spesso giocando al mirror mi sento quasi come se io ho tanto vantaggio carte, ma avendoci pochi LP posso morire da elenco di 15 cose che posso morire. Non è necessario che fai l'elenco di 15 cose dove puoi morire, perché tanto chi ti ascolta, anche se fai le cose senza esempi, capisce quello che vuoi dire. Quindi, cosa faccio qua in momenti di studio? Comunque, mi prendo un foglio. Allora, aspetta. Quindi io mi prendo un foglio e mi scrivo una cosa che ho imparato nei mirror di Blackwing. I LP sono importanti perché puoi crepare da ogni cosa. Quindi è già qua un dato che io, prendendo un formato che non ho mai toccato, comunque sia ho.
Shifter won every single set. Granted, yes, there was a lot of whirlwinds. There's dark arms. All of those things obviously contribute. But if you're playing best of 21 sets, at some point those things start to like even out in terms of, you know, I think our tracker got to like 50 something by the end of it. So they both saw whirlwind a lot throughout the entire series. And again, Shifter did play draw traps. We saw Jar Greed and Yada. I'm not exactly sure if they just played 1-1 or if they were playing like 3 copies or, you know, 2 Yadas and 1 Jar. But throughout the course of the 50 games, we did see that they were playing draw traps, which meant they're drawing their whirlwinds and dark arms slightly more than Ricky, because Ricky doesn't play any draw cards besides Allure. And over the course of 50 games, a small increase in the number of times you're drawing your bombs like Dark Arm and Whirlwind actually you will notice it. Like you will notice.
Praticamente qua in 10 frasi gli sta chiedendo: ma tu non giochi né Jar of Greed né Yatagarasu? Ci sei rimasto male o no? Fine.
A small increase. Usually when people talk about percentages, it's like, oh, over the course of a tournament where you might play 8 rounds of Swiss.
Cioè, io vi do un consiglio, se siete intervistatori, evitate di fare domande così lunghe. Almeno che l'intervista in sé non sia a cazzeggio, però questa è una cosa istruttiva. Per esempio, se vuoi guardare la mia intervista con Danji, tendo a fare domande molto secche e specifiche, mentre, cioè, uno, massimo due frasi, mentre quando parlo con Godot e Tiso, che sono nella parte cazzeggio, perché con Tiso ha anche una parte seria, mentre con Godot è principalmente cazzeggio, a volte nella parte cazzeggio mi dimentico di essere un intervistatore e parlo sopra l'intervistato.
8 rounds, yeah, 24
Però lì è una parte in più di cazzeggio, cioè più che un'intervista.
games, let's say.
Right, 24 games max. These guys play 50 games.
Quindi qua praticamente ti chiede il fatto che tu non giochi i peschini e quindi hai pescato meno delle tue bombe, statisticamente è un problema oppure no.
So 24 games max is much smaller than like literally double the number, over double the number they played. So a small percentage of like, oh, I'm just draw trapping you a little bit more. So I'm seeing Dark Armor Whirlwind a little bit more. I'm seeing Heavy Storm a little bit more. I'm seeing Solemn or
E qua gli deve fare tutto l'elenco, manco fosse Salvini.
Dust Shoot a little bit more. That does matter when you're playing so many games, those small percentages. What do you think about that? Like the draw trap thing?
Yeah, I mean, if you think about all the cards you want to hit, which are Whirlwind, Brain, Storm, Bad, even Blizzards, right?
Yeah.
That's like maybe 6 or 7 really strong bombs. And keep in mind also the game isn't just dictated on your opening 6 and then draw trapping, digging 1 or 2 deeper.
Right.
I think the games usually go, 3 or 4 turns. I mean, most games in Edison, you'll see like what 2 or 3 draws at least.
Yeah.
And so when you just put that in the probability calculator, I mean, I don't have one handy off me right now,
Yeah.
but that's like maybe a 3 to
Lui dice che ha proprio fatto dei calcoli statistici che non ha sotto mano, però comunque sia ci ha fatto dei calcoli statistici che l'hanno portato a non giocare i peschini.
4% increase because that's like a pile of 6 to 7 cards,
Yep.
and you're digging 3 to 4 with your draw phases. And so if you think about like 3 to 4% over 50 games, that's like almost 2 games, right?
Yeah.
2 games where you see your bombs more. And
Lui dice che secondo i suoi calcoli in un match, in 50 match, una o due o tre volte vedi più bombe del tuo avversario grazie ai 3 peschini.
2 games could, decide 2 of the matches. So
Lui dice che solo 2 game sono stati decisi in 50 partite solo da aver pescato di più.
and the
Literally.
end shifter won what, like 11-8? The 2 matches could have just been swung around and could have been 10-9, right? So
Yeah,
yeah,
and that could
I
be a
mean,
whole set too.
yeah.
Like depending on what game, right? If it was a game 3, and that, these things matter. Depending on where those games are won, that you win by the 4% increase in like seeing dad, whirlwind, or whatever. That
Faccio un
could
altro
be the
taglio perché mi
set,
stanno
right? Like
chiamando.
that. In my head, I thought it was over as soon as it got to 5-0. I was like, this is gonna be so hard to win from here. But once they got to 7-7, it was like, okay, take a deep breath, get some water. Now you have to actually start from here. So they were down 14 sets at that point. Crazy that it got to that point. But yeah, like though that draw trap thing I think does matter in 50 games, especially in 63 possible games. The draw trap thing is actually going to matter. And I think you were kind of alluding to this. Games don't just play
Qua continuo con la sua domanda specifica del tipo eravate 7-7, so passare, bla 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 bla.
out by deck list. They don't just play out by opening 6. They actually play out by, multiple draw phases and interactions. And in a Blackwing Mirror match, one of the main interactions is Icarus Attack. And Icarus Attack and draw traps work so well together. So I think Shifter had a natural advantage because while Ricky is playing 2 Dust Tornadoes, I'm noticing, which is good in the mirror for sure. Like Dust Tornado technically, cuts off Whirlwind. You can snipe a in phase Icarus Attack or a Deep Prison or Bottomless. That's great. But the draw traps also have.
Giuro che dal prossimo video comunque sia metto l'acceleratore, cioè nel senso mentre fa le domande lui accelero il video e poi quando risponde quell'altro vado in 1 per, cioè Dio santo! Sei l'intervistatore, statti zitto!
Have a lot of synergy because multiple times we saw on stream Shifter would Icarus attack and Ricky would chain like something and target, one of Shifter's back rows, and Shifter would just go like chain the draw trap. So Ricky's not getting full value off of his Icarus. He's not getting full value off of Heavy. We saw that a lot. We saw Heavy Storm for 1. It looked like it was going to be a 2 for 1, but it ended up being a 1 for 1 because
Riassumo la domanda, il fatto che tu puoi aldare i peschini e possono essere chainabili ti sembra figo oppure no?
Shifter would chain.
Ecco. Cioè, porco, il dono della sintesi.
Yada or chain jar. Do you agree to like that's a big deal, right?
Basta.
Oh, for sure, 100%. I mean, that's
Basta. Fai le cazzo di domande corte, Dio santo, benedetto. Cioè, nel senso, non è che siamo stupidi, Dio santo. Mi sto rompendo i coglioni. Mancano ancora 18 minuti. E mi sono sfracassato i coglioni. Guarda, lascio rispondere sta domanda. Mi segno il minutaggio. E per oggi taglio così. È interessante quello che dice l'intervistato, ma l'intervistatore, Dio. Il dono della sintesi. Raga, sintesi.
the strength of draw traps and Blackwing.
Perché se tu parli tanto, poi non devo dedurre io cosa cazzo mi stai chiedendo. Cioè, tanto metà della domanda chi è intervistato quando fai le domande lunghe non ti ascolta.
Right? The mind games and the different, the different ranges that one back row represents. It could be Icarus, it could be Bottomless, it could be Prison, it could be Dust Tornado.
Yep.
It just really complicates the decision-making process for the opponent of the, staring down the draw traps. And in those complicated game states, you're very likely, doesn't matter how good you are,
Yep.
you're very likely to make a misplay. And we're not talking about like a misplay in terms of just playing bad, but a misplay in terms of choosing the wrong line because you.
Lui dice che è vero che i mind game che possono portare i vari Yatakarasu e Jar of Grid, Dust Tornado e quindi voltare abbastanza, possono portare l'avversario a fare misplay, ma misplay inteso non tanto come giocata sbagliata in generale, ma come aver scelto la via sbagliata fra due scelte.
You chose to play into bottomless instead of Icarus.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And
Cioè nel senso che non giochi il 100% di accuratezza perché fondamentalmente hai dovuto fare una scelta, ti sei dovuto affidare alla fortuna, aggiungo io, questo non lo dice lui, e hai scelto semplicemente la strada
I
sbagliata.
mean, this might sound a bit nerdy, but the way I describe it is, when black queens have a back row, it's either it could be draw trap, it could be bottomless, it could be prison, it could be Icarus, it could be dust tornado or MST, right? Those are the
Yep.
different ranges, and you have a lot of different plays. There's like an optimal play into each, but there isn't a single optimal play that covers everything. So, good players, they tend to choose what they play around and what they are willing to lose to. So, because you don't have the information on what the back row is, your choice, if you choose wrong, it could cost you the game. Like if
Right.
you say, I think you're
Lui dice che nel limite dei possibili devi sempre cercare una giocata che copre tutto il possibile e a volte aver fatto una scelta sbagliata semplicemente solo per dato che le settate possono essere qualsiasi cosa, possono portarti a un game loss. Quindi un'altra cosa che posso aver imparato in Edison è che, data la incredibile varietà di carte, devo sempre averci a mente tutte le stable e cercare di coprire tutto il possibile e a volte anche solo aver scelto A rispetto a B, avendoci in chiaro tutte le possibili varianti, aver scelto una sbagliata, ma non perché sia sbagliata, ma semplicemente non è quella che era utile in quel momento, anche se la mia scelta magari è più corretta, può portarmi anche a perdere la partita.
set is bottomless and not Icarus, and I'm going to set 2 traps, and you end phase Icarus me, I probably just lost the game right there. But if I only set one, if you have Shura back row and I set prison, like, okay, you have Icarus, I'm going to play around Icarus. Then you end phase dust me, and I'm taking like, let's say 35 or 3600 next turn.
Yeah.
I probably lose as well. And so it's like you're in this catch-22 situation where you feel like none of your choices are good if you don't predict exactly what their back row is. And I think that's why, Shifter was in such a good position because he was always leading on the initiative and he was forcing Ricky to try to pick how to play best into back row. And that's what made it really awkward because no good player is always going to play optimally into back row from Black Lanes because it's just too complicated. You probably need an AI model to just
Right.
run over the different scenarios and what's the winning play long term.
Yeah, draw traps complicate things. I was saying this to Stango and just in general.
No, 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 io non gliela faccio più. Tanto mo gli fa un'altra domanda che dura 2 minuti. Cioè è durata più la domanda che la risposta dell'intervistatore, cioè dell'intervistato. Io me sparo. Direi che ci faccio una serie di 7 video perché veramente non gli sopporto più di metà video. Quindi per oggi va bene così. Cioè, so che è accurato, sono informazioni interessanti, ma... Ah.